I used to think truth was sacred. As a journalist, I built my whole career on it. But the funny thing about truth is, it becomes meaningless when you're the one forced to hide it. "Ethan, please," Lena had said 2 years ago, her voice calm but sharp. "We can't let anyone know about your condition. Not my colleagues, not the network. No one." I remember sitting on the edge of our bed, the heart monitor softly beeping beside me. "It's my health, Lena. People will find out eventually." She crossed her arms. "They don't need to. If people see you as weak, they'll see me as a failure." That line never left my head. Even now, every time I look at her on TV, smiling, confident, adored, I hear it echoing. "You're a public figure," she'd continue, pacing. "I'm the face of the evening news. If word gets out that my husband is dying, it'll change how people see me. Pity doesn't sell." I remember laughing then. "You think this is about ratings?" Her eyes flicked toward me, cold. "Everything is about ratings." That was the first lie we built together, the one where I agreed to disappear quietly behind her image. I told myself it was love, that protecting her career was the least I could do after all her sacrifices. But deep down, I knew I was just afraid of losing her. Back then, my heart still worked well enough for denial. "Promise me," she whispered, kneeling in front of me. "Promise you'll keep this between us." I'd looked at her, at those eyes that had once melted me, and said, "Okay, I promise." I didn't realize I was signing away my voice. 2 years later, the promises have turned into walls. She thrives on stage lights, and I live in the shadows of hospital rooms and prescriptions. When people ask how I'm doing, I say, "I'm fine." Because that's what she trained me to say. Sometimes she visits me between shoots, dressed in designer coats, perfume filling the room before her words do. "How's my favorite patient?" she'd ask, pretending cheer. "I'm not your patient," I'd reply. "I'm your husband," she'd smile faintly. "Don't be dramatic." I'd watch her fix her lipstick in the reflection of my hospital window. She looked perfect, like someone who had no reason to lie. "You're going to be late," I'd remind her. "I can't be late," she'd reply. "They expect me to shine." "And what about me?" She'd pause, just for a second, and say, "You shine in silence, Ethan. That's your strength." The way she said it made it sound like a compliment, but I knew better. She needed my silence to protect her perfection. Tonight, she's preparing for her biggest live talk show yet. I'm sitting in the back of our apartment, watching her rehearse lines in the mirror. She catches me watching and asks, "What?" "Nothing," I say. "Just wondering when you stop talking to me like a person." "Don't start," she mutters. "Not tonight." I lean forward. "You mean not on the night the country watches your every move?" Her eyes flash irritation. "You know how hard I worked for this. Don't ruin it." "I never do," I reply quietly. She exhales. "Ethan, please, I can't deal with this now." I look at her reflection again. "Do you ever deal with it?" Silence. She looks away first. That silence between us is heavier than any argument we've ever had. It's the sound of everything unspoken. My sickness, her ambition, our fading love. Later, as she leaves, she kisses my forehead. "Watch me tonight," she says softly. "It's an important show." "I always do," I answer. When the door closes, the apartment feels colder. The quiet hum of the refrigerator is louder than my heartbeat. I sit there, thinking about how truth feels like a stranger now. I reach for my journal, the one I haven't opened in months. I start writing without thinking. I used to tell stories for a living. Now I live inside one I can't tell. I pause, staring at the ink. What would happen if I told the truth? I imagine the look on her face, the shock, the panic, the crumble of the image she worked so hard to build. For a second, I almost feel guilty for thinking it. But then I remember that line again. If people see you as weak, they'll see me as a failure. I close the journal. My pulse quickens. Dr. Harris's words replay in my head. "You can't keep suppressing this stress, Ethan. It's killing you faster than the illness. Maybe he's right. Maybe hiding has been my real disease. When Lena's voice echoes from the TV that night, the same familiar pain crawls up my chest. She's radiant on screen, thanking her team, smiling for millions. She's everything the world wants her to be. And I'm everything she doesn't want the world to see. Then I hear her say, "Tonight we talk about truth, how it defines us." I almost laugh. Truth? From her? That's when I decide. I won't hide anymore. Not for her, not for the cameras, not for anyone. My heart might be weak, but my voice still works. And tomorrow night, on her stage, I'm going to use it. The hotel ballroom looked like it was built to worship her. Golden lights, red carpets, photographers shouting her name. "Lena Cole, over here!" The flashes almost blinded me. I stood beside her, smiling like the loyal husband the world expected. "You okay?" she whispered without looking at me. "I'm fine," I said. My chest burned a little, but I ignored it. She adjusted her earrings, her tone smooth. "Try not to look so tired." "Cameras pick that up." "Right," I murmured. "Wouldn't want to ruin the picture." She didn't respond. She was already practicing her award speech under her breath. When they called her name, Best Broadcast Personality of the Year, the applause hit me harder than the sound of my heartbeat. I clapped with everyone else, pretending not to notice the way Daniel Ross, her producer, leaned forward first. His grin said more than it should have. Lena took the stage like she owned it. She always did. "Thank you," she began, voice trembling in all the right ways. "This year has been about strength, perseverance, and never giving up, no matter what challenges we face." I almost laughed. She made it sound like she'd fought a war when I was the one dying quietly at home. She kept going, thanking her network, her team, Daniel. Daniel. Not a single mention of me. Maya, who stood near the back of the crowd, caught my eye. She looked uncomfortable, like she wanted to clap but couldn't. I leaned toward her and whispered, "Don't worry. She rehearsed that speech with Daniel last week." "I was there," Maya frowned. "You're joking." I wish I was. The camera swung toward Lena again as she held her trophy close to her chest. "And to everyone who believes in me," she said, "thank you for reminding me what strength looks like." I smiled because that's what I was supposed to do. Every picture needed proof that our marriage still sparkled. When the ceremony ended, people crowded around her like moths to a flame. "Mrs. Cole, can we get a statement?" "Lena, who inspires your confidence?" She laughed, radiant. "You all do. The people, the viewers, my incredible team." Not a glance in my direction. I stepped aside, giving her space to glow. Daniel appeared beside her, hand brushing her arm casually. Too casually. "Great speech," he said. "Thanks," she replied, her tone softening in a way it never did with me. He leaned closer. "You looked stunning up there." "Don't start," she said with a playful smile. My pulse jumped. I shouldn't have heard it, but I did. Every word sliced through the noise. Then Daniel added, "How's Ethan holding up?" Her voice dropped. "He's managing. Too fragile to handle anything now." The words hit me harder than the illness ever did. Too fragile. I turned away before she saw my face. My throat tightened, but I swallowed the anger. It wasn't the first time she talked about me like a burden. It just hurt more hearing her say it with a smile. "Ethan," a reporter called, catching me mid-step. "Can we get a photo of you and Mrs. Cole together?" I hesitated. "Of course." Lena turned, already posing. "Come here, darling." Darling? The word sounded like it belonged in a script. I placed my hand on her waist for the camera. Her perfume filled the space between us. Too sweet. Too foreign. "Smile," she whispered through her teeth. "You look miserable," I forced one. "I'm trying not to ruin your perfect image." She shot me a warning glance, but the flash went off before she could speak. When the photographer thanked us, she turned away without another word. Daniel approached again, holding a drink. You must be proud of her, Ethan. I am, I said flatly. She's everything she ever wanted to be. He laughed softly. And you? How's retirement? I didn't retire, I replied. I paused. He smirked. Right, take care of yourself, man. He walked off before I could respond. Maya appeared at my side, her expression careful. You okay? I'm great, I said. Just enjoying the view. Ethan, I said I'm fine, she sighed. You don't have to keep pretending. Pretending is all I've got left. I watched Lena laugh at something Daniel said, her hand resting lightly on his arm. Everyone adored her. She was the symbol of everything perfect: strength, beauty, ambition. No one saw the cracks. A young journalist stepped up beside me, holding a recorder. Mr. Cole, mind if I ask you something? Sure, I said. He smiled politely. How does it feel to be married to one of the most admired women in the country? For a second, I didn't answer. I watched her across the room, bright and untouchable. My chest ached again. Finally, I said, It feels like living next to the sun. Beautiful, but it burns if you get too close. He laughed, thinking it was a joke. You're a lucky man. Yeah, I said quietly. Lucky. Can I quote you on that? Of course. I turned back toward Lena. She caught my gaze and smiled, the kind of smile that didn't reach her eyes. I smiled back because that's what she needed from me. Consistency. The reporter walked away, still chuckling. Maya whispered, You don't have to lie for her. I'm not lying, I said. I'm keeping the peace. She looked at me sadly. Peace looks a lot like pain right now. Maybe she was right. I didn't answer. I just stared at Lena, wondering how much longer I could keep pretending that love and loyalty were the same thing. When another journalist stopped me, Recorder ready? I smiled mechanically. Mr. Cole, he asked, What's your secret to being so lucky in love? I took a breath, holding his gaze. Because I believed her lies. His smile faded. The recorder clicked off, and for the first time all night, I didn't fake my smile. Lena's laptop was still open on the kitchen counter, glowing in the dark. She'd left in a hurry that morning, late for a live rehearsal. Normally, I never touched her things. But something about the blinking cursor on the screen pulled at me. Her desktop was clean, organized, every folder labeled perfectly. Then I saw one that wasn't. Public statement, in case he dies. My heart stopped for a beat. I stared at it, half expecting it to vanish. But it didn't. It waited. I clicked. The folder opened with a password prompt. Of course. I tried the obvious ones first. Her birthday, our wedding date, her show's title. Nothing. Then I tried mine. Ethan. It opened. Inside was a single document. I clicked again, and the words filled the screen. We're deeply saddened by the sudden passing of my beloved husband, Ethan Cole. The date on the file was 2 months ago. I kept reading. The rest was cold, rehearsed, polished for headlines. There wasn't an ounce of grief in it, just branding. Ethan's courage inspired me to advocate for awareness, strength, and compassion in the face of hardship. It was the same tone she used when thanking sponsors. My chest tightened. 2 months ago, I whispered to myself. You were already writing my obituary. I scrolled to the bottom. There was even a pre-written tweet. Gone too soon, but his legacy will live on through my work. I slammed the laptop shut so hard it shook the counter. My breath came fast and shallow. I grabbed my coat and keys, ignoring the dizziness clawing up my chest. Dr. Harris looked up from his paperwork when I burst into his office. Ethan, you should be resting. I found something, I said, slamming my hand on his desk. A file on Lena's laptop. About my death, his face drained of color. Ethan, she wrote a statement 2 months ago, I cut in. A statement about me dying. Before I even got worse, he rubbed his forehead. You shouldn't be stressing like this. Don't tell me to calm down, I snapped. Tell me if she asked you to lie. He froze. That silence was my answer. Dr. Harris, I said slowly, did she ask you to falsify my reports? He sighed. She asked me to minimize the seriousness. Said you didn't want pity. That it would only make things worse between you two. I didn't want pity? I laughed bitterly. She didn't want the story to leak. She didn't want anyone to know her husband was dying. She said it was temporary, he murmured. She lied, I said. And you helped her do it, he stood. Ethan, please, I was trying to protect her image, I interrupted. Not me, he hesitated. You don't understand the pressure she was under. Public figures, I understand perfectly, I said coldly. I just didn't expect you to sell my truth for her comfort. I walked out before he could stop me. Maya's office smelled like coffee and paper. She looked up as I pushed open the door. Ethan, what happened? I just came from Harris's office. My voice cracked. He admitted it. She made him lie, her expression darkened. Sit down. I didn't. I paced instead. She's been planning my death. 2 months ago, she wrote a public statement. Polished it like a press release. Maya's jaw tightened. I believe it. I stopped pacing. You believe it? She nodded. Because I overheard her once. My stomach dropped. Overheard what? It was at the studio, she said quietly. She was talking to Daniel. You'd been hospitalized that week. He asked how bad it was, and she laughed. She said, if he dies, at least the sympathy ratings will skyrocket. I froze. What did you just say? She laughed, Ethan. I remember because it made me sick. She said you were... Maya swallowed hard. She said you were useful as a sympathy card. The room tilted. I grabbed the edge of her desk to steady myself. She used my illness, I said slowly, barely hearing my own voice. She used it to build her brand. Maya reached for me. Ethan, sit down before you... No, I said. I'm done sitting. Tears blurred my vision. I stayed quiet. I let her bury my pain so she could smile for cameras, and she turned my sickness into her story. Maya's voice softened. You don't have to keep letting her. I looked at her through the haze of anger and disbelief. What else can I do? She owns the narrative. If I speak, no one will believe me. Then show them, she said. You're a journalist. You've built careers exposing liars. Expose this one. Her words hung in the air, sharp and alive. I stared at her. Expose my wife? She met my eyes. Expose the truth. That's what you always stood for. I sank into the chair finally, the fight draining from me, leaving only resolve. I thought love meant protecting her, I whispered. But maybe it means stopping her before she destroys everything left of me. Maya leaned forward. Then do it. You don't need revenge, Ethan. You just need to reclaim your truth. I nodded slowly, the decision forming in my chest like a spark catching fire. She built her empire on lies, I said. I'll make her tell the truth, live. Maya exhaled. You sound like the man I used to know. I think he finally woke up. For the first time in years, my heartbeat felt steady, not because I was calm, but because I finally had purpose. Lena could hide my illness. She could twist my image. But she couldn't script my ending, not this time. Maya shut my apartment door behind her. You look worse, she said. I don't care, I muttered, clearing a space on the table covered in printouts. We're almost there. She stepped closer, scanning the documents. These are her texts? I nodded. Voice messages, too. Her laughing about my heart condition. Her telling Dr. Harris to keep it mild. Maya pressed her lips together. This is enough to ruin her. It's not about ruining her, I said quietly. It's about telling the truth. Same difference when it's Lena, she replied. You know she'll come after you. I know, I said. That's why I called Sarah. Sarah entered from the kitchen holding a folder. Medical records, she said. Original copies. Dates, test results, every warning sign she buried. I reached for the folder. How did you... She gave me power of attorney back when she thought it made her look devoted, Sarah said. I never revoked it. She won't even realize I used it until it's too late. I opened the folder, scanning the pages, my hands trembling. This is everything! Sarah pulled out a flash drive. And backups. If you collapse before the broadcast, I'll still have them. I'm not collapsing, I said. Maya raised an eyebrow. You almost did this morning. I'm fine, I lied. They exchanged a look. I slammed the folder shut. Tonight she premieres her new show. Perfect Image, Perfect Lies. I'm going to sit across from Olivia Grant and show the country what she's done. Olivia actually agreed. Sarah asked. Yes, I said. She used to adore Lena. She mentored her. I sent Olivia the recordings. She called back within an hour. Maya sat. What did she say? I mimicked Olivia's clipped tone. If this is real, Ethan, I'll give you 10 minutes live. But you'd better be ready for war. Sarah let out a low whistle. That's a prime slot. It's the same night Lena premieres, I said. Same hour. Same network, Maya smiled grimly. Poetic. I leaned on the table, my vision flickering. Not poetic, necessary. Sarah's hand landed on my arm. You're pale. I'm fine, I said again. You're not, Maya snapped. You're shaking. I sat before my knees gave out. If I die, I whispered, at least I'll die honest. Don't say that, Sarah said sharply. It's the truth, I murmured. Maya crouched in front of me. Then at least let us finish prepping while you sit. I nodded reluctantly. The living room turned into a war room. Sarah lined up the evidence. Maya tested the audio clips. I rehearsed my answers out loud. Why didn't you leave her sooner? Maya asked, playing devil's advocate. Because I loved her, I answered. Why now? Because truth matters more than love when love is built on lies. Good, she said. Short, clear. Don't ramble. Sarah held up the medical report. You'll show this when? After the recordings, I said. Let the public hear her words first. Maya hit play on one clip. Lena's voice filled the room, mocking, laughing about sympathy ratings. My stomach churned, but I didn't flinch. Again, I said. Ethan, again, I repeated. She played it again. I closed my eyes, memorizing the sound, letting it burn away the remnants of the man who had stayed silent. When the clip ended, Sarah asked softly, Are you sure you're strong enough to do this live? I opened my eyes. I'm not strong enough not to. Later that afternoon, Olivia called. I put her on speaker. Ethan, her voice came through crisp and wary. We're confirmed for 8 p.m. My producer is nervous. He says Lena's people are already sniffing around. Let them sniff, I said. You realize she'll sue, Olivia said. I realize, I answered. Then why do this? Because I spent 2 years dying quietly so she could look strong, I said. I won't give her my silence as a funeral gift. There was a pause. Then Olivia said, Be at Studio B by 7:30. Bring everything. No surprises. No surprises, I promised. She hung up. Maya exhaled. It's real now. It's been real for a long time, I said. By evening, my chest felt like it was wrapped in wire. I bent over the bathroom sink, gripping the edge, sweat dripping from my forehead. Sarah knocked. Ethan? I'm fine, I gasped. You're not, she said. We can postpone. I straightened slowly. My reflection looked like a stranger, eyes hollow, but alive with something fierce. No, I said. If I stop now, she wins. Maya appeared in the doorway. Then at least let us drive you. I nodded. On the ride to the studio, Sarah handed me water. You're shaking again. I'm just cold, I said. Maya leaned forward from the passenger seat. Say it again, she said softly. What? Why you're doing this? I stared out the window at the city lights. Because I believed her lies. Now people need to believe my truth. Sarah's grip on the steering wheel tightened. Then we're with you, Maya added, all the way. I closed my eyes. Thank you. At Studio B, the crew buzzed around like bees. Olivia met me at the entrance, her expression unreadable. You look like hell, she said bluntly. I feel like it, I replied. 10 minutes live, she said. You get one shot. No second segment. I only need one, I said. She studied me for a moment. You're scared, she said. Yes, I admitted. But not of her anymore. Olivia's mouth twitched. Approval, maybe. Let's get you mic'd. As the mic clipped to my lapel, my knees buckled. I caught the edge of the chair before falling. Ethan! Maya rushed forward. I'm okay, I said, breathless. Just nerves, Sarah whispered fiercely. We can still stop. No, I said. If I die, at least I'll die honest. Silence. Then Maya placed a steadying hand on my shoulder. Then let's make it count. I straightened, heart hammering, vision swimming, but alive with a strange clarity. This was no longer about Lena. This was about me, my truth, my final act of living. And when the red light above the camera blinked on, I lifted my head and spoke. The studio lights burned hotter than I remembered. I could feel every pulse in my neck, every tremor in my chest. From behind the curtain, I watched Lena glide onto the stage in her silver gown, dazzling and untouchable. The audience roared. "Welcome to the Spotlight Hour," she said, smiling wide. "Tonight, we're celebrating courage, compassion, and the importance of health awareness." My stomach twisted at that last word. Health. Maya's whisper came through my earpiece. "You ready?" "No," I breathed. "But I'm going anyway." The cue light above the camera turned red. Her show was live, no edits, no cuts. She sat across from the guest, a famous surgeon. "We must talk about emotional strength," she said. "When people face illness, they need to remember how their attitude defines survival." I almost laughed. Attitude. I had one. It just wasn't hers. Olivia's voice came softly from the control booth. "Walk out when I count to 3. Don't wait for security." 1. The crowd clapped as Lena adjusted her mic. 2. She lifted her glass of water. Confident, glowing under the lights. 3. I stepped into the light. Gasps erupted. Some people actually cheered before realizing who I was. The camera swung toward me. Lena froze. "Ethan?" I smiled faintly. "Hi, sweetheart." She leaned forward, voice low through clenched teeth. "What the hell are you doing?" "Something honest," I said. She straightened instantly, turning back to the cameras with that perfect mask. "Everyone, this is my husband, Ethan Reed. What a surprise." Her tone was light, but I could see her fingers gripping the armrest. "It is a surprise," I said, stepping closer. "For once, not a planned one." The audience chuckled awkwardly. "Why don't we talk backstage?" she whispered. "You'll ruin everything." I leaned into her mic. "No, Lena, you already did." A hush fell over the room. She laughed too loudly. "He's joking, everyone. My husband's a journalist and he lives for drama." I turned toward the camera. "You're right about one thing, Lena. I do live for truth. But lately, I've been dying for it too." A ripple of confusion ran through the audience. Her smile faltered. "Ethan, stop this!" I looked at the host's table where my small recorder sat. "Play it." Maya's voice cut through the speakers from the control booth. Rolling clip, then her voice, Lena's voice, filled the studio. "If people see him as weak, they'll see me as a failure. His condition is my image problem." Gasps. Someone in the back actually shouted. Lena stood, trembling. "That's fake!" I raised a hand. "Wait for the next part." "At least his illness gives sympathy ratings," her recorded voice said, cold and sharp. "He's more useful sick than silent." The silence that followed was suffocating. Lena's lips parted. "You, how dare you?" I turned to her. "I dared because you didn't." She reached out, grabbing my wrist. "Cut the feed!" she hissed to the crew. Olivia's voice boomed from the speakers, calm and final. "No cuts, it's still rolling." I met the camera again. "For 2 years, I've lived a lie. My wife hid my illness so it wouldn't stain her career. She told my doctor to alter reports. She wrote a public statement, ready to post when I died. I held up the printed document. The headline glared under the lights. "Anchor's husband dies after courageous battle." "That was written 2 months ago," I said quietly. Before I even knew how bad it was, Lena's voice cracked. "You're sick, Ethan. You don't know what you're saying." "Oh, I know exactly," I said. "You just don't like how it sounds without your script." The audience didn't move. Even the cameraman looked shaken. She tried to grab the papers from my hand, but I stepped back. "Don't," I warned. Her eyes burned. "You'll destroy both of us." I looked at her, really looked at her. And for a moment, I felt something like grief. "No, Lena, I'm freeing one of us." She turned to the crowd desperately. "You all know me. You've watched me for years. This is manipulation." I pulled out another sheet, my medical report. "This is reality." Her face drained of color. "Dr. Harris," I said, looking straight at the nearest camera. "You told me to keep quiet. You told me my wife was under pressure. You'll have your chance to explain that later." Murmurs swept through the studio. Lena sank into her chair, shaking her head. "You've lost your mind." "Maybe," I said softly. "But I've finally found my voice." The clip played again, echoing through the air. Her laughter, her indifference, and it was unbearable to hear even now. The audience that had once adored her sat frozen, faces pale in the glare of the stage lights. I turned toward them. If I collapse tonight, if I don't make it through the week, don't make her my story. Make this moment the story. The truth deserves that much. Someone from the audience shouted, "We love you, Ethan." Lena's hand shook as she tried to adjust her mic. "This is madness." "Cut to commercial." Olivia's voice came again. "We're still live." Lena's composure shattered. "You can't do this to me!" "I didn't do this to you," I said, voice breaking. "You did it to yourself." The sound tech raised the mic closer. My hands trembled, but I kept speaking. "You once said weakness ruins perception. But you were wrong." "Deception ruins everything." She covered her face, whispering, "Please stop." The camera zoomed in on her, catching the tears she could no longer hide. I felt my knees weaken, but I gripped the desk to stay upright. "Truth," I said quietly, "hurts, but it heals too." Maya and Sarah stood just beyond the curtain, their faces blurred through my fading vision. The applause started slowly, hesitant, uncertain, then grew louder until it filled the studio. I looked back at Lena, still frozen, her mask shattered under the lights she once owned. I turned to the camera one last time. "My name is Ethan Reed, and I'm done hiding." The red light above the camera stayed on. The world kept watching as her perfect image finally cracked, and for the first time in years, I felt clean. The morning after the broadcast, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Headlines flashed across the screen. Anchor's husband exposes live betrayal. Lena Reed's empire crumbles. A love story turns into a scandal. I muted every alert. Maya sat on the couch, scrolling through her tablet. "It's everywhere," she said softly. "Sponsors, networks, and they've all pulled out." I stared at the cold coffee in my hand. "I didn't expect it to spread this fast." "You were live on prime time," she said. "People love watching someone else's truth burn brighter than their lies." I almost smiled. "And what about her?" "Daniel hasn't been seen since last night," Maya said. "Her team's gone silent. Olivia told me the station suspended her show indefinitely." I leaned back against the wall. "So it's done." Maya looked at me carefully. "Is it?" "You don't look relieved." I let out a slow breath. "Relief doesn't feel like this." By evening, I was half asleep on the couch when someone started pounding on my door. Hard. Maya appeared from the kitchen. "Do you want me to—" "I'll get it," I said. I opened the door. Lena stood there, hair tangled, mascara streaking her cheeks, her designer coat hanging open. Her eyes were red, wild. "Ethan," she gasped, stepping inside before I could stop her. "You destroyed me." I closed the door behind her. "You destroyed us long before I spoke a word." She turned, trembling. "You humiliated me in front of millions. Do you have any idea what that's like?" "Yes," I said quietly. "Because I lived it every day you lied to me." Her lip quivered. "I didn't lie about loving you." "Then what do you call hiding my illness, rewriting my death, and turning it into a PR strategy?" She flinched. "I was scared, Ethan. You don't understand how fragile everything was." "My image, your image?" I interrupted. "I almost died protecting it." She covered her face with both hands, shaking. "I never wanted to lose you." "You lost me the moment I became your brand," I said, her voice cracked. "I thought if I stayed strong, people would respect us." "No, Lena," I said. "You wanted them to respect you. I was just your proof of compassion." She stepped closer. "Please, just listen. I didn't mean for it to go that far." I backed away. "But it did. You told a doctor to falsify my reports. You laughed about me to Daniel." Her breath hitched. "That wasn't— I was nervous." "I say stupid things." "When I'm scared. Scared of what?" I asked. "Losing control?" "Losing you!" she shouted. The silence afterward was heavy. Maya stood in the hallway, frozen. Lena turned toward her. "You helped him, didn't you?" Maya didn't answer. Lena's voice cracked. "You wanted this. You've always hated me." Maya's tone stayed calm. "I hated what you did to him! Get out!" Lena snapped. I stepped between them. "Don't talk to her like that." Her eyes filled with tears. "You're defending her now?" "I'm defending the truth," I said. "Something you never learned to do." Lena's shoulders slumped. "I can't fix this, can I?" "No," I said. "You can't rewrite it this time." She wiped her face roughly. "I gave up everything for us." "No, I said softly. You gave up me for everything. She sank onto the couch, her body shaking. You think I wanted any of this? I think you wanted to be loved by everyone, I said. And in the process, you forgot how to love one person honestly. Her eyes lifted to mine, the first real crack of vulnerability I'd seen in years. I thought success would make me enough for you. I knelt in front of her, exhausted. You were already enough, Lena. You just never believed it. She broke. The sob that escaped her chest was raw, unguarded, human. For a second, I almost reached out. But I didn't. She whispered, I'm sorry. I know, I said. But sorry doesn't bring back the parts of me that died keeping your secret. Her hands trembled as she reached for mine. Please don't hate me. I don't, I said honestly. I just don't believe you anymore. Tears streaked her cheeks. I never stopped loving you. Then why did you destroy me? Her voice barely rose above a whisper. Because I didn't know how to be loved without being admired. I stood slowly. Then maybe now you'll learn the difference. She looked up, broken. Where will you go? Forward, I said simply. Lena's lip trembled again. You're really walking away? I already did, I said, opening the door. She stood unsteady. What do I do now? Start with the truth, I said. For once, start there. She looked like she might say something else, but no words came. She just stared as if waiting for me to save her again. I didn't. She walked out without another word. After she left, the silence in the apartment felt thick and foreign. I sank onto the couch, feeling both weightless and hollow. Maya came over quietly. You did what you had to. I know, I whispered. She sat beside me, her hand resting gently on mine. You look empty. I am, I said. Freedom feels strange when you've carried chains this long. She didn't answer. She just leaned her head against my shoulder. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then I felt the familiar tightness in my chest. Maya noticed. Breathe, Ethan. I'm trying. You need to go back to the hospital, she said. I will, I lied. She sighed softly. You always say that. I looked at her, the only person who hadn't used my weakness as currency. Thank you, I said quietly. For what? For staying. Her eyes softened. Someone has to keep you alive. I smiled faintly. Good luck with that. She squeezed my hand. Don't joke about it. I stared at the blank TV screen, the reflection of a man who had nothing left to hide. Lena had her downfall. I had my truth. And for the first time, silence didn't feel like fear. It felt like peace. Time slows after the chaos ends. The cameras stop chasing me, the interviews vanish, and for once no one wants a quote. Silence fills the spaces where noise used to live. I spend most days by the window now, watching the rain streak down the glass. My chest hurts more often, and the pills do less each time. Maya knocks gently. You haven't eaten. I'm not hungry, I say. She walks in with a bowl of soup anyway. You said that yesterday. I meant it yesterday too, she sighs. You can't keep skipping meals. I can, I murmur. Dying men don't need schedules. Her eyes flash with irritation. Don't talk like that. It's the truth, I say. I spent too long lying for someone else. I won't lie to myself now. She sets the bowl down on the table. Then at least be honest about something else. Like what? She hesitates, then sits beside me. About how you feel. About me, I turn toward her. Maya. I'm not asking for promises, she says quickly. I care about you. More than I should. Her voice trembles at the edges, and for a second I forget how to breathe. I force a smile. Don't fall in love with a dying man. She laughs softly, though it sounds like she might cry. You think I can control that? I'm trying to save you from the ending. You already did that, she whispers. When you told the truth, I look away. The truth saved no one. It only burned what was left. It saved you, she says. You just don't see it yet. Her hand brushes mine, warm, patient. I let it stay there. 2 weeks later, I get a letter from the network. Not an apology, just a release form. My face, my story, my pain, all archived under special broadcast material. I crumple it up and toss it in the bin. Maya picks it up later and smooths it out. You shouldn't let them erase what you did. I'm not a hero, I say. No, she says. You're human. That's rarer. A few days after, I see Lena on television again. Her hair's shorter, her makeup heavier, her voice rehearsed. She says, "I was pressured. I made mistakes under manipulation and grief." I mute the screen halfway through. Maya watches me. "Do you believe her?" "No," I say quietly. "But I think she believes herself. Are you angry?" "Not anymore," I admit. "Anger kept me alive when I needed it. Now it just takes energy I don't have." She nods, understanding more than she says. Dr. Harris visits one morning, his expression heavy. "Your heart's working harder than it should," he says, flipping through the chart. "You need to prepare." I already know what he means. "How long?" I ask. He doesn't meet my eyes. "Months, maybe." "Not many." Maya's breath catches behind him. Dr. Harris adds gently, "You've fought longer than anyone expected." "I'm sorry," I smile faintly. "Don't be. You gave me time. I just spent it badly." When he leaves, Maya stands by the door, silent. I say, "You can go if it's too much." She shakes her head. "You don't get to push me away now. I don't want you watching me fade. Then stop fading." I laugh weakly. "I'd love to, but my body's not taking requests anymore." Her eyes shine with tears she refuses to let fall. "You're impossible. Tell me something I don't know." She sits beside me again, taking my hand as if it anchors me here.
Maybe it does. That night, I start writing, not to Lena, not to anyone else.
To myself. "Dear Ethan," I write, "you spent your life telling other people's stories, heroes, victims, survivors. But you forgot yours mattered too." I pause, looking at the shaky lines of my handwriting. Maya notices from across the room. "What are you writing?" "A letter," I say. "To who?" "To the man I used to be." She watches quietly. "What will you tell him?" "That it's okay," I whisper. "That the pain was real, but so was the love. That he doesn't have to keep proving he deserves peace." She swallows hard. "You sound like someone ready to say goodbye." Maybe I'm just finally ready to say the truth without fear. She crosses the room, kneeling in front of me. "Then say it out loud." I take a deep breath. "I forgive her, and I forgive myself for staying broken so long." Her eyes close, tears sliding down her cheeks. "That's the bravest thing you've ever said." It's the only thing left to say. Later, when the night settles, she asks softly, "Do you ever regret telling the world?" I think for a long time before answering. "No, I regret waiting until I was dying to live honestly." She nods slowly. "That's not a bad legacy," I chuckle weakly. "Legacy?" "I'm not sure I have one." "You do," she says. "You taught people that truth can still exist on camera, even when everything else is fake." "Then maybe that's enough," I say. She leans closer, resting her forehead against mine. It's more than enough. For a moment, the world feels still. No pain, no noise, no stage lights. Just breath, warmth, and the faint rhythm of a heart still trying. The next morning, I finish the letter. "You can rest now," I write. "You told the truth. That's all you ever owed the world, and yourself." I fold the paper carefully, slipping it into a drawer. Maya walks in holding 2 cups of tea. "What's that?" "My final story," I say. She sets a cup beside me. "Does it have an ending?" "Not yet," I smile faintly. "But maybe that's the point." She sits down, and we drink in silence. Outside, the sky turns gold with sunrise. For the first time in years, I feel no cameras on me, no need to perform, just the quiet truth of being alive. For now. And for once, that feels like enough. They told me the documentary aired tonight. I wasn't there to see it. Not really. But I like to imagine the room, the lights dimming, the silence before the first image appeared. Maya said she could feel me in the crowd. I don't know if I believe in that sort of thing, but maybe she's right. Maybe truth has its own kind of afterlife. Maya told me later how the night began. "The hall was full, Ethan," she whispered at the memorial. "Every seat. People you worked with, strangers, even the ones who once doubted you." She smiled faintly at my photo on the big screen. "You'd hate the spotlight, but you earned it." Someone near her said, "He changed everything." Another replied softly, "He reminded us what honesty costs." Maya closed her eyes and whispered, "He paid it willingly." She told me the film opened with my voice, shaky but mine. Truth isn't brave. It's lonely. But sometimes loneliness is the price of peace. Then came the footage. Reports I'd never aired. Interviews that once scared networks away, and finally, the story I couldn't tell while I was alive. Mine. When I recorded it, I didn't know it would be my last. Maya said people cried when the screen faded to black, and my final words played. They can hide your pain, but not your truth. The sound lingered like a heartbeat that refused to stop. Then came a photo. Me, smiling weakly, the sunlight behind me making it look almost like hope. She said no one clapped at first. They just sat there, silent, overwhelmed. Then the applause started. It grew until the hall shook. Maya said even the cameramen lowered their lenses. No one wanted to frame that moment, she told me. They just wanted to feel it. Lena was there too. She stood in the back, hidden beneath a hat and dark glasses, but Maya noticed her. She cried, Maya whispered at my grave later. Quietly, like she didn't think she was allowed to. I almost smiled hearing that. Lena always needed control, even over her grief. Maya said she heard Lena murmur, "He won." Maybe that was her confession. Maybe that was all I ever needed to hear. When the event ended, people gathered around Maya. He was brave, one woman said. He was real, another added. Someone asked her, what would he say if he could see this? Maya smiled through tears. He'd probably joke that the sound mix was off. They laughed. For the first time, the air wasn't heavy with pity, just warmth. That was what I wanted. Not sympathy, but peace. Later that night, Maya went to the cemetery. She carried a single bouquet, white lilies, the kind I once said smelled like honesty. The grass was damp from the rain. The moonlight hit the name carved on my stone, and she knelt beside it. "Hey," she whispered, "you were right. The truth outlived everything." She brushed her hand over the letters. "I thought it would hurt to watch your story end, but it doesn't. It feels fair." She placed the flowers down carefully. "You won, Ethan, you really did. I like to think I heard her. Maybe not in words, but in feeling. The kind that hums through the air when someone speaks from love, not habit. If I could have answered, I'd have said no. Maya, we did, because she carried me through the end, and through the truth." They played the documentary again the next morning on national television. Schools used clips in media classes. Headlines read, "Journalists' final words shake the nation." But the best part wasn't the fame. It was the silence afterward. The kind of quiet that meant people were thinking. I wanted that. For the world to pause even for a second and ask what truth really means. Maya wrote an article a week later. The headline read, "He taught us that honesty isn't weakness." She quoted my line, "They can hide your pain, but not your truth." She ended the piece with her own words. And some truths are strong enough to survive the man who spoke them. When I read it, or imagined reading it, I felt light. Like everything I'd endured finally had a purpose. As for Lena, she disappeared from television. Maya said she turned down interviews, donations, and documentaries about redemption. "She's quiet now," Maya said one night while sitting by my stone. Maybe that's her punishment. Or her healing. Maya stayed until sunrise talking to me about everything. Her work, her fears, the world moving on. At one point, she laughed softly. "You'd hate how people call you a symbol. You were just a man who wanted peace." She's right. I never wanted to be a symbol. Just a voice that didn't lie. When she finally stood to leave, she whispered, "Rest now. Ethan, your truth's doing fine without you." Then she turned and walked away, sunlight spilling across the rows of stone. I stayed, in the echoes, in the wind, in the faint warmth of a world that finally listened. If truth has a heartbeat, maybe it's this. Steady, quiet, eternal. And if words can outlive breath, then mine just did.